purpose of this really is to give you a bit of an overview in terms of how we've arrived at this position, a little bit of the context for plan making and the process that we have to follow. And then an opportunity to ask questions, I think, in the Q&A. Lizzie, is that right? Which correct. We will endeavour to answer as we proceed. It's probably fair to say that we may or may not answer all of your questions that you may well have about a particular site. Clearly, we don't know where everybody has come from or indeed what your questions may well be, but we'll do our best. If we can't tonight, don't panic. We have an email address that you can send your questions in, and we will, over the consultation process, be developing some FAQs that help to capture some of the comments as we progress through, and the questions that some people ask may well be of interest to others. There will also be a programme of events that Lizzie may well talk about as we go forwards that we would very much welcome seeing you at and an ability to talk further. But I will stop there and John, is it over to you to run through the presentation? I think if we can hold questions to the end, but if you want to put questions in the Q&A as we go along, that would probably be helpful, and I'm sure it would assist whilst the ideas are fresh in your heads. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. I'll just give a quick overview of the structure. Lauren, if you're happy to put the next slide. So we'll show you a quick video, one of our promotional videos that we're really excited to share. Gives some graphical and visual representation of what we're trying to achieve during our consultation. We'll give a brief overview, as Stephen says, about what the local plan is and why we're doing it, sharing why you should get involved in our local plan process and how we'll consult with you, including a list of all of our events going forward and some of our competitions that we're throwing. So starting with a bit of a video, hopefully the audio will work. We have practice, so fingers crossed. Thanks.
Cambridge City Council and South Cambridgeshire District Council are working together to prepare the very first joint local plan for Greater Cambridge. The local plan will shape how our area grows over the next 20 years. It aims to make sure new development happens in the right places, in a way that works for both people and the environment. The plan has several important themes. These are tackling climate change, protecting biodiversity, focusing on well-being and social inclusion, and creating great places, all underpinned by homes, jobs, and infrastructure. We're now asking for your views on our draft local plan. The consultation runs until 5 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of January. We're holding several in-person and online events where you can come along, find out more, and speak to our team. Check the Greater Cambridge Shared Planning websites for event details and to find out how you can have your say on the future of our area.
Great, thank you, Lauren. So I'll pass over to John now to talk a bit about the local plan and what we've done so far in terms of our plan making process. Thank you.
So, every local planning authority is required to prepare a plan and effectively set out a vision for development in their area. What are local plans and what do they do? Well, they are intended to identify what the strategic priorities and the vision for an area are. And they're required to identify what the overall needs of the area are. So how much development do we need to plan for? And that could be in terms of numbers of homes, how we plan for our economy, but also the things that go with it in terms of infrastructure and supporting facilities. We're then required to identify the sites that we can demonstrate would be able to meet the needs that we've identified, and then planning policies that would guide the form of that development, and they're used to help in the determination of planning applications by our planning committees when the plan is adopted. Nominally, or usually, councils are required to review their plans about every 5 years or sooner if necessary. Our plan has taken slightly longer than that, which I'll come on to explain on the next slide. There are requirements about the things our plan has to do, particularly set out in national legislation and then national policy. There's a national planning policy framework which guides what we need to do, and that very much looks for us to respond to what those identified needs are and plan for them through our plans, if we're at all able to do so and it's sustainable to do so. There's an awful lot of plan making activity going on at the moment up and down the country, because the new government came in 2024 with planning, I think, being at the top of their agenda in their early days, and for areas that didn't currently have a very recently adopted plan, and particularly areas which are currently operating on their current plan making system, they set a deadline, and that deadline was that council should be submitting their plans, having done all their consultation, submitting plans that could go through the adoption process by the end of next year. So that timeline has meant that lots of councils, including ours, are currently doing consultation on their draft plans in order to then to be able to consult later on next year and take forward to try and meet that deadline. So it's quite a tight turnaround. Next slide, please. What makes our plan sound? Well, soundness really comes from the National Planning Policy Framework. So when we get on to the formal stages of consultation and our plan is tested, we'll be asked to demonstrate that our plan is sound, which is clearly defined by these 4 tests. So we've got to show that our plan has been positively prepared. It needs to have a strategy that, as a minimum, identifies and then plans for the needs of the area. It needs to be justified. It needs to be an appropriate strategy, and that's quite an important word, an appropriate strategy. That's also been prepared whilst taking account of the alternatives available. So if there are alternative strategies, showing we've thought about them before coming to our preferred plan approach. The plan needs to be effective, so it needs to be deliverable. It needs to show how those needs that we've identified will be met, and that we've worked carefully with our neighbours and our neighbouring authorities to look at how we'll meet the needs of the area overall. And then we need to be consistent with national policy. So things like the National Planning Policy Framework and national policy, we need to show how we've taken that into account. Next slide, please. How did we get here? So we've been preparing this local plan for some time. Cambridge City Council and South Cambridge District Council both adopted their current local plans in 2018. And in the final parts of adopting that plan, they both made the decision that their next plan would be a joint plan. So the first ever joint local plan for what's called Greater Cambridge. And some of you may remember that back in 2020, we started off our journey with what we called the first conversation. That consultation was really based on asking what sort of plans should our local plan do? What were the key issues for the area? What's important to the community? How should we look into our needs? What sort of sites we should be looking at, and what sort of issues should we focus on? We held lots of events at that point. Some of you might remember at that time we did a launch event in the Cambridge Corn Exchange. We went all over the district. We handed out postcards, getting lots of views of the sorts of things we should look at. And in the end, we got about 8,500 comments overall, and a huge range of opinion about the sort of things we should be addressing. We then pored over those comments in great detail and started to develop the evidence that would inform our plan. And at the end of 2021, we published what we called our first proposals consultation. And that set out the alternatives we considered. It set out the preferred options, the preferred approach regarding the needs we needed to meet in our area, the sites that we felt were the preferred options for development to meet those needs. And then it set out in high-level terms the sorts of planning policies we felt we needed to prepare in our local plan. And again, we got an awful lot of comments. We got around 9,000 comments overall on those site allocations and policy ideas. We processed all of those. They're all available on our website, and we gave, again, an awful lot of thought looking at those, including reporting to them with our members. But our first proposals consultation identified some quite significant challenges in moving our plan forward. And when we talked with our members in 2022 and 2023, we highlighted some issues where we needed to explore in more detail, particularly related to water supply, where we needed to look further at, was there a sustainable water supply available to meet the needs we were identifying? And I'm pleased to say in this consultation, we've done that further work. We've explored the water availability. There is water interventions coming in terms of pipelines that will link our area to other areas. We've got a new Fens reservoir coming. And one of the big issues we've looked at is how to align our growth strategy with those changes to water. We had other challenges, so transport is still very much being looked at, but lots have moved on in terms of some of the transport schemes we've been talking about. At that time also, there was some uncertainty regarding what was happening with the national planning system. Was there going to be changes in the way we prepared local plans? But as I mentioned a moment ago, that's also been clarified as well, with the government setting this deadline for us to get our plan ready by the end of next year. So having pulled all those together, we were then able to prepare a draft plan this year and go through our member process. So we've been to various scrutiny committees, and both the cabinets of each council have considered the draft local plan in the last few weeks and decided that it was the plan they wanted to put forward for consultation. And now we've been able to start our 2-month consultation period, which started this week. Just looking forward, we hope to get an awful lot of really helpful, useful feedback on issues people support and don't support through this consultation. And then over the spring next year, we'll be going over all those comments, looking at the issues that have come into us, refining our plan, updating evidence that needs updating. And what we'll be preparing for is another consultation. So in the summer next year, we will need to be proposing the plan that the councils actually would be seeking to adopt. So that would be our proposed submission consultation. At that time, those are the representations that potentially go forward to the public examination. So we consult in the summer next year, we gather up all those comments, and we'll be looking to submit the plan by the end of next year. Submission means sending off to the Secretary of State, who then appoints an independent government inspector. That inspector's job is to hold an examination, and that examination is to consider the soundness of the plan in light of all the comments received at that proposed submission stage. And it's that inspector who determines if we can adopt the plan at the end of that examination process. So this really emphasizes how important this consultation that we're about to carry out is, because this really is the chance to help us shape that plan that we would like to put forward for adoption. So it's really important we get as much engagement as possible at this stage. Next slide, please. I'll hand over. Thank you.
Thank you. So why get involved? Why does consultation matter? Insights. We want to hear your insights. We want to hear from a diverse range of people to reflect the wide range of views and needs in Greater Cambridge. You know your area best. The knowledge and experiences of those that have lived and worked in Greater Cambridge is invaluable to the development of the local plan. We encourage you to use your local knowledge to make representations on the local plan. Evidence. The local plan is underpinned by a suite of evidence. You can help with your comments and suggested reasons for policies and sites in Greater Cambridge. You can also comment on the sustainability appraisal and habitat regulation assessment as supporting documents to the local plan. Improvement. What could be improved in the local plan? This could be improving the phrasing. Is everything in the plan as clear as it could be? Is there anything else that we need to add to the policies? Are there any gaps? Is something missing? Could anything be made clearer? Do we need more graphics? So all of these things are things that could be reflected in your comments or at consultation events. And opinions. We want to hear your opinions. We want to hear about what you do like as much as what you don't like. Positive comments in support of the plan on specific policies or sites, or just generally, are equally as valuable as comments on what the plan should be doing better. I'll hand over to Lizzie.
Thanks, Lauren. So how will we consult with you? We have set out a vast range of approaches to consultation and prepared an engagement and consultation strategy. So obviously, if we're consulting for 8 weeks, we've got a great opportunity to engage with our communities. We want to make sure that we're being clear on our narrative and asking people to make comments clearly. We've got a range of materials on our website that hopefully speak in less planning jargon and make it really clear what the plan is trying to do. We've got a range of engagement tools and methods, and we're looking for innovative ways to engage with the public. We'll be using some paid advertising on our social media to reach out to young people and lesser heard from people. And we're making sure that we're engaging with our underrepresented communities, including the Gypsy and Traveller community, and working with our liaison officer there to engage with them. We'll also be distributing materials across our libraries, schools, and our customer service desks, and those will be ready to view by the public. We've got a mix of online and in-person events, including drop-ins, and we're looking to attend a range of markets, which I'll talk about closer to the end. So what are we consulting on? As John said, we've got the draft local plan and the policies map. So that contains the development strategy for Greater Cambridge, all of the site allocations and our development management policies. We've got the draft sustainability appraisal and habitat regulation assessment, and you can comment on those as well to that show our preferred strategy and alternatives that we've considered. We've got a vast suite of documents that Lauren mentioned before. So we've got topic papers that explain how we've come to the policies that we present in the plan, a statement of consultation explaining how we've got here from the first proposals consultation and consider all of those reps that we discussed or John has discussed. And we've got other supporting documents such as the duty to cooperate and statement of common ground. So how we've engaged with other public bodies and our neighbouring authorities. On our website, there is a link to the document library, and that has a suite of all of our evidence bases as well. So those documents underpin our local plan. Next slide, please. This is just a quick screen of our local plan website, and you can use your phone to scan the QR code, but we'll also share links at the end so you've got easy access to our website. So just to take you through what the website looks like. So we have a link at the top, and that is the link you will follow to add your comments on the plan. There's a link, the second link, which is the document library. We've got our interactive policies map where you can scroll through and see the proposed site allocations and layers of our policies. For example, the green belt layer, that will be shown visually on our interactive map. This time, we've tried to be more innovative in how we show our local plan. So we have a digital story map, which is a really good tool just to click through the policies, and it gives you a very high level summary and overview of that section of the plan. Thanks, Lauren. This again is what the pages look like. So the digital plan on the left with drop-down list of different themes in the plan, and an example on the right-hand side of our interactive map layers. A lot going on there, so you can click through it and just pick the layers that you'd like to see. This again is the story map that I've just discussed. As you can see at the top, it has the headings of the plan, and it just gives you a really clear visual representative of what the plan is trying to do. So how can you get involved in our consultation? There are a number of methods. Our preferred method for submitting your representation is through our website. So using the form on the Digital Local Plan website, where you can submit your comment against each element of the plan. For the sites, so any landowners or agents or developers, we have a placemaker form where you can submit updates to your site or submit a new site that we'll consider through this call for sites process. We do also take reps via email and via letter, and we want to make sure that our communities have access to that option, so we're being inclusive across the board. We will also be attending a lot of in-person events where we'll be bringing along our tablets so we can manually input those representations for you if that is helpful for anyone that would rather us take us through that process. Thank you. So I think this is a quick example of how you can make a comment, just to be really clear. So you go to our consultation page and then you click on the element of the plan you'd like to comment on, for example, the development strategy. It'll take you to the development strategy page and give you an overview of the development strategy itself. And then you would scroll to the bottom, if it works, where it has the policy itself. And hopefully it'll click along. You would click on that element and it should take you to the bottom where it says comment. You would log in and you can register if you haven't got an account. You would add your representation. If it's over 100 words, we are using an AI tool to help reduce that, summarize it down, and it'll ask you to agree if you're happy with the summary that's provided. And if you'd like to add an attachment, you can do through this portal, and then you would confirm your rep and it would be submitted. You can also view the sites that have been submitted through the call for sites process and those that have been assessed through the Housing, Employment and Land Availability Assessment as a long term, so we call it the HELA. And you can click through those sites on this interactive placemaker tool, and it'll give you the full assessment and why it's been chosen or why it's been disregarded at this point in time. So what's next? As I said previously, we've got a range of online events. So this is our opening night. So we just want to give you a brief overview of what we're doing. Next Wednesday, the 10th, we'll be doing a session on our development strategy. So talking about our housing numbers, the needs, and our site allocations, including our big sites that we've chosen going forward for our local plan. On Wednesday, the 17th of December, we'll be doing a webinar again on our themes. So we've got the 7 key themes that we've run with from the first proposals tree that we set out. So talking about climate change, biodiversity, great places, wellbeing and social inclusion, jobs, homes and infrastructure. So lots of information there to be shared about the policies that we've drafted. And then in January, conscious that it's over a Christmas period, so we want to make sure that everyone can be involved, we'll do a refresher session. So opening up for questions and answers again on any of those key elements that people have been able to look at and reflect on. So we're hosting a number of in-person events starting on Tuesday the 9th in Northstowe. These are drop-in sessions that we are hosting ourselves as the council. So we'll facilitate them. It's a space for you to come and ask questions. We can help you submit your reps in person. We'll also have exhibition boards so that you can see the information clearly and copies of the local plan and our leaflets as well. So there's a range of these. They're all on our website as well, and you don't need to sign up. You can just turn up to those drop-in events. Particularly, we have a few site-specific presentations and Q&As, so those will be on Cambridge East, Grange Farm and Camborne. So those will be, I think there's 2 sessions for each one that are, a presentation, and it's more formal so that you feel that you're informed before you ask your questions. A few more on the list, there's a lot. We'll also be attending a range of markets and other events that aren't hosted by us, but we would like to be present at those to increase our outreach. So attending a lot of the Christmas fairs, including the Mill Road Winter Fair on the 6th of December and the South Cambridgeshire Christmas Market in Camborne on Sunday the 7th of December. So we will be present and we'll be handing out leaflets there. And again, you can ask us any questions that you'd like to. And lastly, we'll be carrying out leaflet distributions as well to reach out to our communities who might not necessarily know about planning or want to know. So we'll be dropping those off around different areas. This morning we started at Morrison's in Camborne and we were able to distribute our flyers there, and we had some interesting discussions already. So it's a really good tool for engaging with people, especially over the Christmas period. We're hoping that areas such as the Lion Yard Shopping Centre will be very busy, so people can ask us questions if they wish. Thank you. We're also trying to increase our outreach, and as I mentioned before, we're focusing a lot on young people this time. So we have a Lego competition that we've opened for under 18s, and we're asking people to submit their creations. So looking for streets and new places, buildings, or things that people would like to see in our new communities at Camborne North or at Grange Farm. The competition is open throughout the consultation period, and we have a lovely judging panel who will be looking at your creations, and there is a prize to be won at the end. We also have the drawing competition, which is open to all, where we're encouraging people to submit drawings or illustrations of one of the themes. So, for example, if you wanted to draw homes, you could set out what you think the homes of Greater Cambridge could look like. And that is open to all, and there will be a voucher for one of our local craft shops. Thank you. Again, if you want to get involved, please do go to our website or scan the QR code. I will drop a load of links in the chat, but we just really want to engage with you and hear from you. We also have an email address if you have any questions or queries about the consultation itself before you submit your representations. We're always happy to hear from you and help you with any of your questions.